welcome to another edition of GW Unspoken. I've got a very special guest here today named Emily. How are you?
Good, thank you.
What are you up to? How do we know each other? What's going on? This is really weird now. It's strange. Talk to me.
We've just been talking. Okay, so Woody, you were my teacher in 2007, 2008, 2009. So do the maths. You're old.
We're nearly finished. We've got a bad line here. We're going to stop quickly.
Cut it out. And then I just bumped into someone that you used to work with who told me that you were doing podcasts, and I thought it'd be cool to come on.
I'm glad you're here. So thanks for coming. And brings back memories. What do you remember of school? Caboolture High back then. Mm-hmm. What do you remember about your schooling days in the high school area?
Yeah, I was thinking about this on the way here. I was trying to prepare myself of what to say. Yeah. But no, school was awesome for me. I loved it from primary school through to high school. Anyone that asked me, what did you love about school? It was just everything. I loved my friends. I loved the sport. I wasn't the most academic, but I tried my best. Yeah. And my friends helped me get through.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just great. The environment was awesome. I just loved it.
Tell me more about sport, because I know you were pretty good at touch back then, back a few academies back then, and touch, rugby league and netball, and you're really big in touch. How did that start, and then how far did you get with your touch footy?
So it seems like a whole lifetime ago now, and I guess I still have friends that still play. So when I think about it, I'm like, oh, that was a really long time ago for me. So as my brother would say, I peaked at an early age. But I played from about 12. And I remember so clearly that my parents used to always tell me that I ran like a fairy. Like I was on my tippy toes and I never ran with any purpose. And then, something just clicked. And from there I went into the Sunny Coast teams, and then I captained Sunny Coast, and then made Queensland. And then I made Australia, the under-18s team when I was 16.
Wow.
Which was huge. Yeah,
That's massive.
Representing your country was really massive, and that was a great achievement. And then played State of Origin, again, still 16, playing under 20s. And then, I guess I stopped at about 20 and went overseas for a year. And, that's when it stopped for me at about 20. But, yeah.
And then any other sports in between that?
No. I played netball when I was younger, but touch was, the primary sport. And then, I just got into the gym. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
And must have been some good experiences. Did you get to travel much when you were in the Australian team?
Yeah. So went everywhere, Perth, Melbourne, did all of that. But then we got to go to New Zealand to play in I don't know what it was called back then. All the names have changed since then. But, we got to play against New Zealand, and where else did we go? Yeah, it just felt like we were always travelling.
Any fights? Get physical with the games?
No, I was a bit of a smart ass, so I'm sure people wanted to. I do remember I bumped into a coach, the assistant coach of this Australian team that I played in probably 2 years ago, and I remember him saying to me, oh, do you remember when you got absolutely dropped by that New Zealand girl? I was so winded I came off. I couldn't breathe, and my coach was like, you'll be right.
Yeah, a bit of tough love. Okay, we need that back. Oh, my gosh. That's a classic.
So, I got absolutely levelled, and it was just a you'll be right. And I was like, okay, guess I will be.
That's it. I remember the age group difference between Annette Brander when she was there.
So she's my age, yeah.
Remember her playing we first started rugby league there, and she started playing rugby league, and I was following her career a bit too, and some of the other girls who were starting getting in the league. We started a girls' rugby league team there at Caboolture High, and I remember going to watch Annette play at Beer one time, and I was sitting there in the grandstand by myself, and next thing I looked across and her mum was there. And I said, oh, you're Mrs. Brander, aren't you? She says, you're Mr. Woodford. She was supposed to be a tennis player. What the hell? And I said, she's playing for Australia though. Isn't that good? She goes, yeah, I suppose. And I bought her a coffee trying to make her feel better.
Yeah. Oh, bless her. Yeah, so proud now.
And what's happening now? We've had just a bit of a dinner now. Always suck up to guests to get them here for dinner races. Great cooking. But what's your career path now?
Yeah, so I've been teaching for 5 years. So I remember at school I wanted to be a teacher, but I, again, like I said, not the most academic person. So the thought of going and studying and doing all of that just seemed so far out of reach. Yeah. And then I went overseas and worked in England for a year and travelled, went to Amsterdam, went to Spain, did all that sort of stuff, Greece. And then I came back and met my husband, Brody, and was like, oh, yeah, he's got his life together. I don't. I'm going to need to do something. And I remember speaking to, ladies or, friends that I played touch with being like, you should be a teacher. It's such an awesome career. You'd be so good at it, get through the academic side of things and the theory, but the prac stuff you'll love.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let's do it. So, signed up to go to Sunny Coast, but they stopped offering, I think it was PE and science. That's what I wanted to do, and they stopped offering it. So I did like a bridging course to get in.
Yeah.
And it went for 6 months, and it was good in the sense that like I hadn't written an essay probably in my life because one of my friends probably wrote my essays at school.
No. ChatGPT old school.
And it was good to get me prepared, but it all turned out that QUT didn't accept the bridging course that I did.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to write a 3,000-word essay in 2 days to explain why my life experience should let me go. So one part was good because I got to learn like what uni was going to be like, but the other part was like, I just wasted 6 months that I could have been at uni. But so then now I'm teaching and I'm married, and I have a little boy who's 4, Bailey, and then I'm pregnant with my second one.
Congratulations. It's so exciting too. And so what, 2 down, 6 to go? Like what's the plan?
No, this is the last one.
Yeah, that before too. Yeah, that's sure. So teaching, what's been your biggest challenges so far? I mean, I know you're fairly early in your career now, but what have you? Like I know it's easy with retrospect as a teacher to go back when you're, it hasn't been that long now, but when you're at school compared to how it's, the students are a little bit more challenging maybe there's lenient rules. What have you found as the biggest challenge at the moment?
Yeah, I guess my passion and purpose and aligning that with what we're allowed to do in the education system. So the kids are my number one priority, and as much as we want that to be the priority, I feel like we're constantly stopped by the 4 walls that we're working in.
Yeah.
So and trying to get people to see my goals and my vision and things like that, we're so passionate about it and that's what we do, but then trying to justify that to someone else and get them on the same page felt like a bit of a challenge, but having the right people around me has definitely helped. But I feel like that's getting harder and harder to work through as I get further into my career.
It's a real challenge. Like I know I was really conscious of us having dinner together here and then starting the podcast, but we had so many rich conversations. We should have just recorded the whole thing because I love your passion about, you talked a lot around wellbeing. So what has brought you around that passion around wellbeing and what does it mean to you? Like I know you said you want the kids first. Why is there a passion around wellbeing for you?
I just think that the kids having a voice is so important, but them actually understanding themselves. I think I didn't understand myself until a later age, and I think understanding that when I was younger would have been so important and would really have helped me understand who I was quicker, whereas I think that that's only really happened over the last 3 years. And if our kids knew who they were and why they acted in certain ways or did things in certain ways, they would have so much more power as they grow into it. Yeah.
That's unreal. And so I'm trying to understand this then from your perspective, because my understanding is you had a fairly strong family unit. Like I knew your mum and dad really well through Jackfruit 40 and stuff, but always great for conversation, always supported both of you really well. And a lot of our families unfortunately don't have that. Do you find that yourself as a mentor, as a staff member, have that sort of gut feeling to help those kids who maybe aren't as fortunate, who have those strong family dynamics?
Yeah, and I think we spoke about it as well, that sometimes, we hear kids say that they're not who they are with their parents, but that's all I ever knew is to be myself. So my parents always made me know who I was and taught me that. But as I got older, I lost that confidence that I had when I was younger. Like no one could ever outspeak me or like tell me that I wasn't good enough or anything like that. But as I got older, getting into those teenage years, when you are confronted with reality and the social expectations of life, I started to question who that was. And I think that our kids are in an area at the moment where they're already questioning who they are at 12, when that's when they should be raw and rich and confident and love who they are and, want to find out more about the world. But instead they're so scared and so hidden by so many things. So I don't think it's necessarily just the kids who I think need my support.
Yeah.
Because I think there's more kids out there that need our support, even with really what we think are really strong family dynamics.
Yeah. Okay. And do you think there's been a big impact now with social media with particularly maybe our girls? I don't really stereotype, but maybe with boy dysmorphia, with, some of these eating disorders people are coming up with, trying to fit in, that kind of stuff.
And I think I can put my hand on my heart and say that I'm one of those people. We fill our social medias with things that we expect to be right, when really they're working against us and making us trying to live up to an expectation that's not real. Yeah. I constantly go in and out of having social media bans on myself.
Yeah.
And someone said to me the other day, like, why don't you just get rid of it? And I said, because I actually love the platform. I love being able to share my photos of my family and my friends and catching up on people's lives. I said, but I'm learning that there's times and places where I need that, where I need to be focused on work and my family and what I'm doing. And then, when the holidays come around, then I can post photos and I can do all that sort of stuff. But again, I'm 31. So that's something that I have had to teach myself and learn, whereas our kids don't know how to teach themselves or learn those sort of things. They think that this is how life is.
Yeah.
I was only talking to someone the other day that said about social media and their kids, and I was saying, kids have got, their account and then they've got their private account. So they're living these two different lives of what the expectation is, and they just don't know right from wrong.
And I think that's a problem too, because a lot of times we talk about the damages of social media or technology, and we know it's so important and how great it is. But I think it's more the addiction we have. So it's very interesting for people. Like I think it's your age group where they knew nothing except the iPad, and so a lot of people who are young parents have brought up and are 5, 6, 7 hours, sometimes 10 hours a day on social media, even the iPad, and so monkey see, monkey do. Yes. Kids do the same thing, and the people don't understand what these really authentic interactions are.
And it's funny. I had one of my best friends' 30th the other day, and one of her friends printed out all of her old Facebook posts. And she was mortified she was mortified. And some of them just said, like, they were just song lyrics and things like that. That's as basic as we were back then. Like, that's what we posted on Facebook, And all of us since have gone through our Facebooks. Whenever they posted it, I'm like, delete. Like, mine would literally be like, oh, yeah, it's the weekend. Why did I post that? That's so dumb. But like her getting those all printed out, we're all like, oh, my God, quick, delete them. So, but that was as much as we had with social media. It was the start of Facebook.
Yeah.
The most we posted about was, a song quote or someone, just something so pathetic. Yeah. Whereas now it's that quick fix. It's just there.
So you talk about some of the challenging things with the school system. What are some of the good things about the school system you really enjoyed and thrived off?
I love the environment with the staff.
Yeah.
We have a really awesome culture at our school, but in particular the people that I work with, they say that you become the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And I've made some really, really awesome friends at work. And also just the things that I learn from the kids. I think, we never stop learning, but the kids have taught me so much because I'm constantly being like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. And then they'll say something and I'll go, oh, yeah, I really need to think about how I do that.
Yeah.
So I think that, that's really rich for me especially, and that's why I love teaching because I'm constantly learning, and that's the hard part to, separate if I wasn't to be a teacher.
Yeah.
But, I love the interactions with the kids, and, they keep me young. Like I forgot that I was 31.
Yeah, it's pretty young. I'm not talking about ages anymore. And how are you going with your work-life balance? Because obviously, I think gone is the days where people used to say, oh, teacher, how good's that? You got 12 weeks holiday and you've got, 9 to 3, and now people are going, holy crap, I would not do that job, no chance in hell. You still got one on the way, and you've got one at home, 4 years old, hubby.
Yeah.
How do you balance everything and still get time for your leisure? Do you still have that? How does that work?
Yeah. I'm sure if people are listening, they're going to be like, she lives the dream. And I do, because I very much, when I'm at work, and that's when I'm there, and I know what's important and what I need to do when I'm not there. but I would rather stay at work until 5 o'clock in the afternoon to do stuff than take that home with me.
Good. Yep.
Haven't stayed at work till 5 o'clock in a really long time.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
But I feel like no matter how much planning or preparation we do as teachers, you can walk in and that can get completely wiped off the table. So,
well, especially in your role too, like your behaviour role too, or your mentor role.
Yeah. So when I first started teaching, I had these beautiful PowerPoints and they were like animated and they were so awesome. And then I fell pregnant with Bailey and I was like, I feel like I've got these kids, like they're listening to me.
Yeah.
I could put a black and white screen up and I think they'll still listen to me. And that really taught me that I don't have to, it doesn't matter what is on the screen. I have to get to know these kids. And once I get to know them, we're on. And it's of been easier because of that. Yeah.
Those authentic interactions. Yeah. So basically keep work at work, home's home.
Yeah. And I have a very busy life. Lots and lots of friends, which I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, good.
I have been called the part-time teacher frequently, but I'm there when I'm there. A couple of years ago when we got married, a lot of our friends got married. So, you have your weddings, you have your hens parties, you got your bucks weekends. So, it was every now and again that I wasn't there. But, everyone understands, it's life, isn't it? And I'm never going to get those memories back. So I always make sure that they come first. And,
it's awesome.
And, my job will be there.
Yeah, the cliche of time just flies, right? But
that's right.
I was going to ask you too, did you feel pressure in your mid-20s to get certain things done? Like we talked to some people on the podcast where they go, okay, as a teenager I felt like I needed to have a sports group or a music group or feel like I was belonged to something. And then, geez, when I got to 25, 26, some of my friends started having children or getting married. Like, did you ever feel that pressure or was everything sort of just come at the right time for you?
No, I don't think so. Like when I went overseas, that was a pretty big decision. Like I had a boyfriend at the time, but I think like things weren't good. And I guess it was my only way of getting out, which when I look back now, I'm like, probably could have dealt with that better, but also don't regret a second of it. I learned so much by going away. And I think it was more when I got back, I was very lost because I knew that, I had sport and I had this awesome group of friends through sport. And when I came back, I was like, I don't want to go back to that. I want my life. Yeah. Even though it sounds bad because I loved my life with my sport. Like the friends that I made through sport were incredible and have taught me so much and helped shape who I am. But when I came back, I was like, that wasn't the life that I wanted to continue.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that I didn't have the expectation that I need to have a husband and a house and all that. It's sort of just all naturally happened.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Even still now.
Yeah.
We're having another baby and we've got a house and we have all those great things. And I think I've, like I said to you, over the last 3 years have like really worked on myself to know that I'm enough and what we have is enough. We can always desire more and want more, but until we're happy with what we have, those things sort of won't come. And I think that naturally has helped, create the life that we have, which is great. Yeah.
And it just touched on happiness, and we did a podcast about what happiness is, and there's a guy, his name's Bono, who's over in the States, and he talked about, happiness is basically what we have divided by what we want. Mm. And so if we always think about, wish we want, there's no chance we'll ever be happy. And so when you're grateful, it's about the well-being, we're grateful for what we do have. And I think that's a big challenge we have to talk to our teens, especially these days, because they're in a society where they try and compare all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's those hard conversations with the kids where you say, your hard is hard. But then when we try and put that in comparison, well, do you have a bed to sleep in and you have an education and do you use, the resources and the tools that you have here? Because some people don't. Sometimes that's a really hard conversation to have with kids because you don't want to diminish their hard, but also want them to realise, actually, I need to be grateful for what I have. I get to come and see my friends and be taught things that others don't. But even as adults, I think we still need to be taught that.
100%.
And that, expecting that the kids are just going to be grateful and that they're so happy to come to school and they're not. And, that scares me when I have conversations with kids and say like, do you like school? And they're like, no, I hate school.
Yeah.
I'm like, and like, what do you? I'm like, well, I did come back and be a teacher, so it was obviously good.
Yeah.
But and then I wonder, what they think the expectation of school is. Is it that they have to go to uni and, find a job straight away and all that sort of, whereas like my parents were very supportive for both Jack and I that, you can be whatever you want to be. If you want to do all the hard subjects, do all the hard subjects, or if you don't, if you want to go to uni, just figure it out.
Yeah.
But, they always supported whatever that decision was. We always had a job. We were always working.
Yeah.
And what came from that came.
You didn't have to have it all sorted at the start.
No.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So if I put you on a spot now from a personal perspective, if I said to you right now, what are the 3 biggest things you're grateful for? What would you say?
Mine would be my family. So direct family being mum, dad and my brother.
Yeah.
And then obviously my family that I've created with Brody and Bailey. I think it would be, and I'm a bit on both with this, but the access to education that we have.
Yeah.
I think it can work both ways. I'm so grateful that when I'm feeling a certain way, I can jump on a podcast or I can jump onto the internet and find something or a book, which I'm not a reader and I've all of a sudden started reading, grab a book that can help me rewire the way that I'm thinking. So I know that education is there.
Yeah.
And then the third one would be figuring out who I am.
Yeah.
So like I said, 3 years ago, very unsure of who that person was. And now, because of the education and things like that, being able to know who I am and the person who I show up as every day.
Yeah, so good. So proud of you.
Thank you.
Don't mean patronising, it's so good. You got that so switched on, and I think I was like you. People used to say, what kind of books do you read? I go like Men's Health and Inside Sport. They're pretty good. And the back page of newspapers is really good too. But when you start learning, it's you telling you, you're like, oh my gosh. People showing me like, I think the first book someone gave me said, you should read this book. It's a really good book. It's called Skills with People. I went, what the hell? What does that mean? and I read it and went, oh my gosh, I've got so much to learn. It was
And the first book that I read was The Resilience Project. Yeah. And I remember having conversations with like colleagues and my brother who would talk to me about it. But I remember my friend in particular, Woodsy, saying, you won't read anything or do anything until you're ready. So she talked to me about the Resilience Project and Jack spoke to me about it. I was like, oh yeah, sounds really cool, like awesome. But at the time I was like, not interested. And then, she bought me the Brene Brown Dare to Lead book when I first started at my school. And it's only now that I'm reading it. And she said to me, you won't read this till you're ready. And like, she was just so right, because at that time I wasn't ready to hear those things. And even with the Resilience Project, when Jack was telling me about it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like, that's really cool. Yeah. But it obviously hadn't clicked to me yet that I needed, that in my life as well. So like went off social media, started working on myself, went and saw a life coach, read the book, and was just like, life-changing. Like,
crazy.
It's something so simple.
Crazy.
And I think the thing that resonated me with so much and the things that I do read is that I always think about my own life and how those lessons have taught me, whereas beforehand I probably wouldn't have really thought about it. And I think about the stories that he tells and I'm like, oh, I'm going to write down like a moment where that was for me, where I had a moment of like gratitude or, So.
And that can be a positive influence to people you have, right? You can influence them on how same thing.
Yeah. And everyone says, oh, you've read one book and I should get paid for how many people I get to read it because it's so good. But I'm like,
good.
But maybe that's all that I needed was that one book. And I'm reading the Ned Brockman book at the moment. My friend's a runner and she ran 16Ks yesterday in the hot. And at first I was like, oh my God, like you're mental. It is so hot. And then like I saw Ned Brockman's post being like, it's not hot, it's sunny. So I messaged her and said, it's not hot, it's sunny. And then she ran 16Ks and I was like, see if I could run.
That's something. If you got an excuse now, it's okay.
I know. And Brady's like, so what? Are you going to be a runner when you come back? I'm like, you never know.
Brady, what's your excuse, mate? Get out there. It's only sunny. Come on.
Well, I wanted to go for a walk and I was like, oh, it was really hot yesterday. And then I was like, he ran 100K a day, just go for a 2-kilometre walk.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
All right, well, you're in trouble when you start listening to audiobooks and you stop and you actually start writing notes in your own phone. My gosh.
But I can't listen to audio, I've realised, because of my ADHD brain. I'm just like, oh, that tree's green. And I'm like, oh,
I just
missed a whole chapter.
Okay.
So I've had to start like reading again. But that's like reading a physical book.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good on you.
A little while.
Yeah.
Can't have little words. Has to
I wonder
be
if we could do that at school. Imagine doing that for – I saw one school do that on the coast actually. They did a 10-minute read before first break every time, no matter what class you're in. And it was a high school, but it was similar to like a primary school where they bring them all in the front car, but they all chill out and relax. And I thought, oh my gosh, people are going to get eaten alive here. And I was on prac then. And no, it wasn't. It was I was on supply, so it must have been only 6 or 7 years ago. And they were doing all the kids were engaged. Didn't know what book it was. They're all engaged or listening to someone reading to them, like it was old school.
Oh, someone was reading to them.
Yeah, so it was like, it was like prep.
Yeah, we tried to do like mindfulness.
Yeah.
5 minutes, which I do in my class through like gratitude journals. But yeah, it just didn't really take off.
Takes 1 or 2 to change that. You talked about the importance of connection and a good group of friends. What's the key to be a good connector? Because, I mean, you obviously do it well. We're talking about over dinner how, it's really hard these days to have authentic connections where you can just talk and openly listen to dialogue and ask questions based on the last questions, and you got a big network of friends. What's the secret to keep your friendships? What do you do to be a good friend?
I think honesty is a massive one, but also being vulnerable, which again is something that I've really had to learn. I have this very confident and upfront persona, but have a really big heart as well. And I think when I realized that I'd rather people think like, oh, she's really confident and like really happy over my own feelings, I realized that, that doesn't work for very long. So that vulnerability and just being able to listen to other people and know like you're not the only person that has a problem, or even if I did have a problem, I really learnt, and I think in particular my really close group of friends now, that vulnerability and being able to say, like, oh, I don't feel very good, or, I need your support, or when he said this, it upset me, like, did it have any meaning behind it? And they're like, oh, no, like, sorry, I was just having a really bad day that day myself, like just having that communication and that conversation as opposed to, and again, back to social media and technology, we don't have those conversations. If someone doesn't like your photo, you're offended. When really maybe they just didn't see it or they just swiped past it. And being able to have that communication and say like, oh, is everything okay? Or if it isn't, what have I done? How can I fix it? And going from there. But, I've had to learn that. And, that's what we're working with our girls in particular at school on at the moment is you're not the only person in the room, and you have to have empathy for other people and know that other people are going through it. But it's not easy. You have to work on it. And, I think that vulnerability to say I'm not okay. And not even just I'm not okay, just I need some space, or this is my boundary and I'm not going to let someone cross it. I think that's important, the communication part. Definitely.
I like you talk about vulnerability because we talked about when we talked to our kids about belonging and acceptance, and belonging is accepting means that you can just put on a fake persona just to be liked in a group, whereas belonging means you do show your vulnerabilities and they like you based on who you are, the whole package, the positives and the negatives. And I think it's really important that you teach that message, and as a strong role model too to our young girls particularly. And I know we talked about this over dinner, but you said you want to influence also not just the females but also males, but having that from a strong female I think is really important. And I think our boys and our girls need that.
Yeah, and I guess being a mum of boys, because, all the kids say, oh, you would be so good with girls. And I said, yeah, but I want to raise, men. I want my kids to treat people with respect, but also know that they're respected, and not just because they're a man or masculine or, but also having my boundaries.
That's right.
You treat people with respect. And I know that, we see a lot of stuff at school, and I think as a parent I'd be crawling. My skin would be crawling if my child did that, but we can only set them up as well as we can. So,
Well, I think empathy and listening to you mentioned those two things. I think they're the biggest soft skills, the best soft skills you can have now for anything. So, and I think with our boys, you just talk about our boys. I know I'm jumping around a bit. Even with our boys, it's really hard to define what it is to be a man these days, or a young man. A lot of people don't know. Our young boys know where they stand. So I think as a role model, again, it's going to be so good and that powerful in that space.
Yeah.
Can I ask you this? I don't know if it's a bit we haven't set these questions up. I love doing this when people go, what are you going to talk about? And you try and look at my paper here. I'm not going to let you show you this. What's the 5-year plan? Besides 3 more kids, we've talked about that. The twins come along. Apart from
one. I really wanted twins this time.
Did you?
When we went and had the scan, you know how there's like the yolk, so there's the sac and then the yolk. Brody was like, "What is that?" He was so scared.
Stressing out.
And Brady's like, "That's what the baby eats from." He's like, "So it cannot turn into a baby." I was like, because I was manifesting, like I was writing every day that I was having twins. I was like, my boys, like just writing it every day. And like even to the point that I shared it on social media one day and someone texted me and was like, are you trying to tell us something? And I'm like, oh no, that was just my intention for the day. Like I'm just writing like how I was.
It's like a divorce, honestly.
And Rhodey's a twin. So I was like, please come on.
Oh, wow. There you
go. But no, just one more baby would be great. I don't really, I guess, have a 5-year plan. I know that I have things that I want to work on personally.
Yeah.
So I guess being a good parent, it's so scary. And Bailey starts school not next year, the year after. So I guess I'll have a year off with the baby next year. And then what the year after looks like, I'm not sure, but I really want to make sure that I am there for him starting school, and that I'm not going, oh, well, this is life. I have to go back full time and this is what I have to do, because we don't. And I guess I have to, talk to Brody about those sort of things and say, we need money and those things are important, but, mental health and the health of our family is really important too. So I want to make sure that I'm there for him in a space where he needs me. I want to be able to drop him off and pick him up and know that he doesn't have to go to after school care and all that sort of stuff, especially in that first year. Career-wise, I guess I want to just make sure that I'm living my purpose and doing what I'm passionate about. And I know that every day I can't be doing exactly what I want, and I need to be patient with that, which that word patient I definitely need to practice. But I know at the moment I'm definitely not living that purpose and that passion, and I don't feel like I'm fulfilled in what I'm doing. So having a year off and being able to figure out what that is and what that looks like in a teaching space is a goal. Okay. One day I'd love to go out on my own and have my own wellbeing centre and, teach through fitness, but have conversations, boys and girls alike love sport, and we know that. We see how kids are when they're engaged in sport, and, having a gym where they can come and work out and then maybe have a 20-minute conversation about their well-being and things like that, as opposed to, okay, let's sit down and talk about our feelings as like a counsellor.
The sport can make it feel more comfortable and just natural.
From a preventative perspective, not a reactive. And that's something that I've really learnt this year, is that I'm sick of reacting to things. I want to prevent. I want to put things in place to help kids, especially teenagers, before they get to that point where they need to see a counsellor or a psychologist or whatever. So,
Sounds exciting. I was just looking over your shoulder here. There were no clips here. Go up here and talk about the innate code. And I haven't talked to you about that yet, but the 8 things we talked about, you've probably talked about 6 of them already. So we talked about nutrition, you talked about movement, mindfulness, lack of technology, community and connection, sleep. You talked about gratefulness, and you talked about purpose. We talked about purpose and leadership. So I think you're on track. It sounds exciting. I hope I can come to the gym and talk about my feelings too. Very emotional guy. All right, bit of fun now. You ready?
Cool.
Now, I know we've heard a few of these before, and I heard you know a couple of these podcasts. I'm going to do a few little tricky ones in here maybe.
I tried to prep myself.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll start with some really easy ones first, okay? So first thing that comes to your mind when you say these things, and remember this is like PG rated too, so just remember that, okay? Favourite movie?
I literally had this question in my head.
Did you?
The new Puss in Boots. Have you seen it? The kids' movie?
Oh,
it's the new one. No, seriously, it has the most beautiful message ever. You have to watch it, because when I explain it, everyone laughs at me. But it has the most beautiful underlining message about like gratitude. It's awesome.
See, I know you're an emotional person, but I also thought you'd be like No, it's going to be a John Wick or something.
Oh,
Like,
God, no. Like Puss in Boots, I'm not joking. It's so beautiful. It's about this little therapy dog that, like, they try and get rid of the dog, but
I'm
he
going to
thinks
cry.
they're
I'll
playing.
cry in
Yeah,
animation.
he thinks that they're playing hide and go seek with him,
Get rid of him.
but they're trying to get rid of him. And then, like, they're going on this quest to find the wishing star to, like, make a wish so that they can have something. And he is like, I don't need to wish. I have everything that I need.
Oh, don't.
Yeah, you have to watch it. It's really
Did you
nice.
cry?
Oh, bawled my eyes out. It was such a nice.
Are you a crier
and I
for
still
movies?
cried, yeah.
Okay, good. Tear in your eye there. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
I'm a dog person, but if you ask my friends, I'm hardly a dog person.
Oh, you don't like animals?
I have a dog.
Yeah.
I was only talking about it yesterday. But I hate his hair and when he, like, licks me. And,
Don't like it?
Like, I love him, but, like, from a distance.
Have you seen the movie Marley and Me?
Yeah.
I can our dogs like that. They just bark at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, break everything. It's like, oh.
And you don't care.
I do care.
Okay.
But after a while, I was like, oh, let's just send them away.
But no, dogs, not cats. Don't like cats.
All right. Chocolate or lolly person?
Oh, both.
Are you?
Is that-
Do you have a favourite? Like if I said, here's $10 and you go to the shops, what would you buy for a chocolate or lolly?
I would just buy dairy milk chocolate.
Would you?
Yeah, or that orange, you know, the orange chocolate. I get that from my mum from England. It's like in the shape of an orange and it tastes like orange chocolate.
Nice.
So nice. Yeah. But just dairy milk. Love it. And sour lollies.
Do you? Sour worms?
Yeah, sour worms, but I'm loving the Haribo ones from Aldi.
You allowed to have them now you're pregnant?
Probably not, but I do.
I'm telling. Favourite physical activity?
Oh, I just love going to the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love going to the gym. It's just my happy place.
What's your favourite activity? You're going to say squat or something, are you?
No, but I remember you doing this with Morgan on her podcast.
squats.
But mine would be a deadlift.
Would it?
Yeah, I love deadlift.
So dangerous.
Oh, but I'm good at them, so it's fine.
Okay, fine. It's really frustrating. Favourite food?
Favorite food, like meal?
Can be.
I really like just a roast dinner.
Do you?
Yeah,
Old school.
my mum's roast dinners are just the best.
That's bringing back the English side, isn't
Yeah, with the Yorkshire puds,
it?
so good.
Nice. What's your favourite drink when you're allowed to drink? Alcoholic and then non-alcoholic.
Okay, so
By the way, she's smiling. I don't know what's going on. She's off here. Put off the booze for a while, but she's
I'm
smiling.
craving an amaretto sour.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Just love them. But I just drink like vodka, water, and fresh lime. Because apparently you don't get a hangover. Cody Griggs taught me that
Did
one,
he?
Woody.
I have to get him on the
when you
fisherman
have-
himself on here soon. He's always posing about fishing or something.
When you have hundreds of them, it doesn't count. So I still get a hangover. And then to drink, probably just water. Like I don't really like soft drink, although this pregnancy I have lived off frozen Cokes.
Have you?
Oh my God, it's been so
You have
bad.
a hyperactive child. You have yourself. That'd be so
Yes.
interesting, won't it? Do you have a favourite go-to like music style or song?
I'm one of those like fangirl country fans at the moment. So I just love country songs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
Get
know.
out of the house.
But if you were to ask me like, oh, do you know this country singer? I'd be like, no, is it on Nova? Because I don't know.
No, okay. See, Rach loves country, and we always have a three song rule. Otherwise, I have to just go outside because she'll say, "No, we're playing it all day."
I just put country music on for the kids, and like they're actually really starting to like it. You know, they're starting to like that kind of music. But then I'll start singing, and they're like, "No, turn it off,
really?
get it off." I'm such a good
Because
singer.
isn't country? It's usually isn't it usually about someone loses someone or someone's always upset
yeah,
about
they're
something?
always so emotional. But I don't really listen to the words. I just like it. Yeah.
Nice. Did you want to sing anything while we're on the podcast?
No, thank you.
Okay. Favorite holiday destination?
Oh, Bali.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Why?
just like, I don't know, it just has a soft spot. It's like, I feel like it was the first holiday destination that I went on and now I just love it. We just went in June, actually. We found out the week before we went that I was pregnant, which I knew was going to happen. It just, you know how you just
You manifested
know.
that too, yeah.
I knew that was going to happen. Thankfully, I wasn't sick, so it was a great week. But Bailey got sick.
Yeah.
But we had an awesome doctor come out, give him stuff straight away, and he was completely fine. But now Brody is like petrified to take a baby over there. And I really want to go again next year. And he's like, I just don't think we can do it.
Girls trip.
Yeah. Well, that may happen because he did say, well, you can go. I'm like, okay. Well, he
Oh,
did
my
say
God.
it. He's
Okay.
going to Vegas in January, might I add.
Is he?
Yeah, on a concrete convention.
Well, that's very important. It's for work, obviously, so that's very important. I want to ask a question. I'm going to go back a bit here. If you know what teaching is like now, would you have still done it when you started 5 years ago?
Yes.
You would have?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I still love teaching.
Yeah.
And I love the ability to mentor and be around kids. And I think that the best place to do that is in a teaching environment. Now that I have done it, I've realised the things that I'm more passionate about and the things that I think are more important. And now that's why I struggle with it.
Okay.
And like, I know I'm a teacher, so this might not sound how it should, but I'm not a teacher for the curriculum. I'm a teacher for the students and their well-being. So, so, you know, we have to teach the curriculum. That's what we do. And, yeah, I guess I put that into my own teaching style on how I make sure that their well-being and both happen.
Yeah.
But now I've learned that, my passion is their well-being, not so much the curriculum.
Yeah. Well, you have to engage the kids first, don't you?
Yes.
I was not going to learn the curriculum anyway in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask you a couple of similar questions. Can I just say that people have struggled with this question? So if you've been listening to this podcast, you may have a bit of a head start here, but if you were stuck on an island with 3 people, who would they be and why?
Okay. So one of them
I'm a bit worried you know the answers already. This is good.
I didn't actually think about this one, but I laughed when Parko struggled so much and he said he was prepared. So I'll hope
he had nothing. He was actually quite funny, but I was worried about Parko was going to interview me.
So I would have my friend Ellie. So she's like a best friend of mine now who we just became friends through working together and are polar opposite people, like chalk and cheese, but just get along so well. She's just like the brains behind everything. I'm the motor mouth and like, let's go. And then she's the one that's like, whoa. Like, how can we pull this back together? So she would keep my ideas entertained while we were on the island, but do them in a way that we survive.
Yep.
My friend Sarah, we call her Mrs. Fix-It because she's like our husbands when our husbands aren't there.
Husband's supposed to be able to fix things.
Yeah. So Brody worked away for a little bit while I had Bailey, and Sarah would FaceTime me and my fire alarm was beeping, and every time she'd ring me, she'd be like, what's that noise? I'm like, I think it's the fire alarm. She's like, it's flat. You need to change it. I'm like, I don't know how. And she'd ring back the next day. It's still beeping. And then this one day she rang and then 30 seconds later she was at my door, climbed up on a chair, was changing my thing. So, but it's like anything. Like if anything's broken, Sarah's always there. She'll fix it. She'll try and sort it out. So I would have her. And then my third person, I feel like I would have someone like Kevin Hart. Like I love how funny he is, but I also love watching, you know, his realness. And, I just think he'd be funny.
Yeah,
he'd make us laugh. So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought you'd take your husband, but that's okay.
No, Broad's would be great, but like I'm thinking outside of the box here.
You were supposed to say then he'd be a given, he'd be on there anyway.
Oh, yeah, like I just feel like I was meant to think outside the box. If I went, Brady, Bailey and the new baby, then that would be boring, wouldn't it? Thinking outside the box.
I think we're both ourselves in a hole here. All right, down your last $10. You're down to your last $10.
Yep.
What are you going to buy?
Okay, I thought about this one on the way here.
I'll get some new material. This is too good.
Mine would be a Krispy Kreme donut. I thought it was going to be $5, so I was like being tight. I would buy a Krispy Kreme donut and a frozen Coke.
Would you?
Yeah.
Are you a Coke or a Coke Zero?
No, Coke. At the moment, I'm Coke. I'm normally Coke Zero.
Yeah.
But I really don't drink soft drink often until I'm pregnant. But yeah, so it would just be a frozen Coke and a Krispy Kreme donut.
That's nice.
Yeah. And if I had $10, then I would buy one for Bailey because he would need one too.
Yeah, okay. What if you had $20?
$20.
See, you're not so prepared now, are you?
Well, I feel like I'd get a pub steak. $20 is heaps.
Your roast meal even?
No, pub steak. Now that I'm thinking about that other question, I think a steak would definitely be my favourite meal.
Would it?
But my mum's roast are really good.
Okay. Hey, it's been a pleasure having you on. I just want to so proud of how you've come. I've met you too. Like I love your group was such a great group to teach too. I remember it was so much fun. And you know, I've still got that little photo that you guys sent me. I don't know if I remember. It says, "Thank you, Woody." I think it was like a picture of you guys all together and your touch out feeling it was.
Aww.
And I've still got it on my desk at school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have to send a photo. Yeah. It's so cool. Because you inspired me, you kept me real too, I think, back then, and just so proud of what you were doing and love how you're putting all the kids first, and the staff are happy, should be so grateful to have you. Same with your kids, and good luck with the little bub. I'd love to hear how that goes. And
does he have red hair and is he crazy?
Yeah,
I'll let you know.
Well, the coke might help with that. But yeah, thanks very much for coming on, and it's great to hear from you, and love to you and your family.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.